Hello, everyone. This is Rose. Today's topic from the Book of Life is workplace bullying. What is it about being an introvert and doing your job well attract bullies in the workplace? Let's take a look at this short story from the Book of Life. Hey, April. What's going on, girl? April looks up as her co-worker was standing in front of her. She thinks to herself before replying, why can't these people leave me alone when they see me reading my book as I eat my lunch? Can a girl have a moment to herself before going back to work? Instead of saying what she thought, what she was thinking, April replied to her coworker by saying, Hey, Joy, you know me, trying to relax my mind with reading before going back to work. You look like you have something on your mind. So what's on your mind? Well, April, me and some of the other girls would like to invite you to go to happy hour after work with us. With a surprised look on her face, April asked Joy, they still have happy hour? I thought that ended in the 90s. Joy said with a giggle, there are still a few places that have happy hours. Well, thanks for the invite, April says. I will pass. I hope you and the girls enjoy yourself. April coworker Joy had the nerve to turn up her nose and roll her eyes before walking off. April was like caught off guard. She's like, gee whiz. What's up with that? I don't get it. Why do these people get so mad because I don't hang out with them? I am sociable at work when I'm not reading my book at lunch. So what's the big deal about one less among a crowd at happy hour? Hell, they act like they can't have fun unless I attend. Go figure. April was only able to read 2 full pages before it was time to return to work. April feels she socialized well with her coworkers when she's at work. Her time at home is her time. She don't have to bring her coworkers home with her if she doesn't want to, or hang out with them, or call them up. They have a good working relationship as far as April understands, to her understanding. April cubicle was in the middle of her coworkers Sandy and Jean. She would talk to them over the cubicle every day. Many times they would talk as they worked. They didn't care if the other employees sitting near them heard their conversation because they really wasn't talking about much of nothing. Just, hey, what's going on with you, girl? How was your day? That type of thing. But anytime, they would talk personal or private, that was done by them whispering as they gathered together in one person's cubicle. You know how we do. Y'all know how you do it. You at work, go in the person cubicle, kind of bend over a little bit, whisper, talk, so the other people surrounding you in their cubicles can't hear. So that's what they did. Sandy is the co-worker who knows everyone's business. Now keep in mind, April sits between Sandy and Jean. But Sandy is the co-worker who knows everyone's business in the company. She always greets everyone with a hug and a God bless you or God bless your heart. April used to wonder, why can't Sandy simply say good morning or hello? After about a year working with her co-workers, April realized Sandy's religious routine was her way of getting people to trust and confide in her. You know, you got to walk around, make people think you a mini god or something. You know, you holier than thou. So it's okay, bless your heart, so you can trust me because I'm a good girl. That was her co-worker, Sandy. So the thing about Sandy, and because of how she would greet people and always had her religious antics flowing, or talking or saying or phrases, her co-workers would come confess their sins and burdens to her, like they were in a confession booth at their church. April and Sandy both defined themselves as Christians. However, April was more spiritual than religious. She did not announce to all that had an ear to hear that she went to church or is a believer. April didn't think she had to do that. She operated within the realm of spiritual insight only as the Spirit guided her to do so. So April knew that you don't have to go in and announce, because if you live in something, it's going to show in your character. It's going to show in your spirit. You don't have to wear a badge or go quote scriptures to everybody for them to see that you're a believer, that you're a Christian. That's how April felt. Whenever Sandy came into April's cubicle and grabbed a couple of her fingers while stating, "Sis, I need to touch and agree. I need you to touch and agree with me in prayer." April knew this was Sandy's opening to gossip about one of the confessions given to her from a co-worker. So you're getting an idea of how Sandy's personality and character is. She ain't gonna grab your whole hand. She just gonna come and grab a couple of fingers, because she doesn't really want you to touch and agree with her on prayer. Because if you did, you would actually pray rather than gossip about what somebody told you. April would tell Sandy, "God hears you. You don't need me to touch and agree with you. You can pray for that person. Be an intercessor by praying in private." Sandy would express her anger towards April for talking to co-workers that she classified as sinners. That's how it works. See, now Sandy, everybody come and confide in her, who classify herself as a Christian. But April, who is also a Christian, who don't announce it to everybody else, she don't want no one to go talk to her. So here Sandy is getting angry at April because she went and gossiped to April and told her about everybody's sins, so to speak, the things that they confide in her about. Now she wants April to act accordingly and not talk to these people. She would say to April, "Why are you talking to her? I told you she is an alcoholic who sleeps with married men," or "Don't engage in a conversation with him because he is a womanizer." April refused to allow Sandy to control her work relationship with people based on their confessions or what they confide in her about. On several occasions, April would overhear Sandy lying to co-workers about April, lying on her. After listening to the lies Sandy told these co-workers, The co-workers would treat April like she was a contaminated sinner. Okay? They are the ones confessing to Sandy, but yet and still they're listening to Sandy, and now they're treating April like she's a sinner and they are holy like Sandy appeared to be. Many would turn up their nose at April, roll their eyes at her for no reason. That's why the Bible tells us to guard our hearing. You start listening to somebody and then you acting according to what they say. And it's a bunch of lies. One day, April was reading her book while eating her lunch when she hears a coworker say to another coworker while looking in her direction, she thinks she is better than everyone here, and she loves to judge people, so don't ever tell her your business. Isn't that something? The person they telling their business to is Sandy, not April. The person receiving this information asks, who are you talking about? The giver of the information states, the person over there. You know, the one who's sitting and reading the book. So April sat quietly, hearing the coworkers who did not know her or ever had a conversation with her believe a lie told to them by Sandy, then act on the lie by treating her like she was the worst person in the world. This just stunned April, but it was giving her wisdom into how this darkness work in this world. April refused to allow the lies define who she is as a person. She vowed to herself to continue to be her true, authentic self, regardless of how people treated her. Co-workers would treat her like shit, didn't have to tuck their tails between their legs because they need her expertise. They forgot they was at work. April loved what she did for a living, and she made sure it showed in her work. Regardless of the negative or nitpicking treatment April received, she always gave her best in performing her job and working with people. April would often quote within her own thoughts, within her mind, the scripture that is found in chapter 5, verse 16. Let your light shine before man so that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. See, that's a spiritual person, not a religious person. Because she took that scripture and she lived it. She didn't just go around quoting it to other people like Sandy does. She's regurgitate that scripture in her mind daily and she lives it. And especially when someone is being cruel and mean to you, you have to be a spiritual person to follow this scripture, to just continue to be good to them and not let them change who you are on the inside. I repeat the scripture. It says, let your light shine before man so that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Sandy told April that she was not being a good Christian. Go figure. Because she was not reprimanding people for their wrongdoing. Ain't this something? April could not believe what she was hearing. She looked Sandy directly in her eyes, then say to her, you do not know what a good Christian is because you are not a Christian. And you know the good thing about this, she was not judging her. She was fruit inspecting. She was looking at her fruit. and telling her, "You are not a Christian. You are a religious hypocrite," states April. "How dare you expect me to treat people according to your judgment of their sins or wrongdoing based on what they confide in you about? What are you doing in judgment of what was told to you, besides trying to bully me into acting according to your will for their lives? I am not their God, and neither is you. I do not have a heaven or a hell to put people in. Therefore, I will not judge them the way you asking me to. I am a sinner saved by grace. And in case you don't know it," April tells Sandy, "in case you don't know it, so are you. So why are you acting like you are the holy police captain and I am one of your officers to bring law and order? You have these people treating me like shit based on lies you told them about me. I see now that something is seriously wrong with you. Therefore, I will take my own advice and pray for you in private." That's what a good Christian do. Sandy walks away from April without saying a word because she knew she was wrong. She never said anything else to April about not acting like a Christian. Yeah, she got a wake-up call. 7 months later, Sandy quits her job. You don't play with God, people. Keep playing with God. That's what happened. I wonder why she quit. Although Sandy no longer worked at the company, the bad seed she planned about April still grew in the darkness of the co-worker's mind. See, that goes to show you how people will believe a lie and hold on to that lie and still treat you according to that lie when the liar is nowhere around to be present. And they don't even know you. They don't even have a relationship with you. But they're going to hold on to that lie and still treat you bad based on a lie somebody told you that's no longer in their present either around them. This is mind-blowing. Co-workers would take supplies from April's desk, as well as her personal items like lotion, hand sanitizer, her box of Kleenex, and cough drops. One time, a director of another department once picked up a nasty rubber band off the floor, then placed it on April's desk as he presses his thumb into her shoulder while saying, "Don't say I never gave you anything." She had co-workers go to her management with lies about her. One of her management asked April, "Why do you want to move to another cubicle? What is wrong with where you are sitting?" April looks at the manager strangely before replying, "I never said I wanted to move to another cubicle. There's nothing wrong with where I'm sitting." The manager then states, "You never told anyone you were unhappy with where you are sitting and you wanted to move?" April replies, "I never had that conversation with anyone. I never said that to anyone." Another manager, on another occasion, approaches April as she was sitting quietly working. This manager stands over April's back. April turns her head, looks up at the manager, smiles, and says, "Hello." The manager proceeded to say to April, "You are not perfect. You make mistakes." April once again looked at the manager like, what is they talking about? Where is this coming from? So April said, "I know I am not perfect. I never said that I was." The manager walks out of April's cubicle without saying another word. April couldn't help but wonder, what was that all about? Okay, Sandy is not here no more. So why are these managers coming to me? Did Sandy keep in touch with little imps in the store, in the company, to continue her work on lying on April? April is not understanding. She's puzzled. She's confused. She's like, what is going on? Why are these managers coming to me, treating me like this and acting this way towards me? I don't do anything but sit here and do my work. Although April worked in a department that had many employees, she is the only one who knows how to do what she does. April watched many of her co-workers in her department take long vacations as well as long personal leaves of absence as other co-workers in her departments cover for them. April normally takes a day or two off because there's no one to cover for her. Once a year, when she would take 5 consecutive days off, she would have to train someone for 2 weeks so that they can get her job to cover her. And the thing about it is, they will only cover her on what could not be placed on hold until she returned to work. So, therefore, they wasn't covering her on her entire work performance or duties. They was only covering what could not be placed on hold, that thing that had to be done. And she would have to take 2 weeks of training them so she can be in presence for them in case they had any questions or any problems, that she will be present to train them so that when she leave, they was trained thorough to cover her on that task that could not wait until she returned back to work. This was once a year. Once a year, she taken 5 days off once a year. And any other time of the year, she would only take a day or two because she knew she had nobody to cover for her. That's crazy. So this means when April did return back to work after taking 5 consecutive days off once a year, the work that was not placed on hold was added to her normal day-to-day work. So her work was piled up. So she come back, she got the work that was not covered as well as her regular, normal day-to-day work. April would often tell her manager that her job was a 2-person job and that someone should be trained to do what she does. For years, her manager agreed to get her help. April's manager tried to appease her by promoting someone in the department, giving them the same title as April, but not the work. See, you just trying to get April. It's like sticking a pacifier in a baby's mouth to stop them from crying, stop them from, That's what she did. The manager just stuck a pacifier in her mouth by promoting someone and giving them the same title as April, but not giving them the work. Here this person was promoted, but yet they continued to do the work in the department that they always did. And that is work with the other co-workers and covering them. The only difference about this co-worker who was now promoted with the same title as April was that she was the person that April had to train for 2 weeks when she took her once a year 5 consecutive days. So this person got a promotion just to be the person who covered for April once a year when she took her vacation. That's too much. So as the company grew, so did April's workload. April noticed her work performance had begun to suffer due to the growth in work without any help. Now, the thing about this, April is noticing that as the company grows, all the departments within the company, including in other locations, was getting new people. These new people was interacting with April because of what she did. So now the company is growing, and April is having more communication with more people in different locations, in different departments, and still no help in her department. So she is saying that her work performance is beginning to suffer. She continued to complain about needing help. Her manager would promise help is coming. The same thing she's been saying for years. What about the girl who was promoted? Why haven't you allowed her to step in and help? Her manager begins to verbally reprimand April for the work she couldn't complete and for minor mistakes she was making because she didn't have time to double check her work because of other requests that was being submitted to her, and a lot of them was hot requests. So therefore, she didn't have time to double check something. She just had to trust that she did it right the first time. So it was causing maybe, minor mistakes. Thank God it was only minor mistakes. Something that can be fixed that wouldn't hurt the company. But yet and still, her manager was verbally reprimanding her for these minor mistakes. Get her some help. Get a clue. So on top of the heavy workload without any help, April's manager was giving her more responsibilities. April begins to feel like her manager ignoring her cry for help is a form of abuse. I am so glad she came to that conclusion because that is a form of abuse. You got a whole department you are managing and you letting the other girls help each other, cover for each other, but you singling April out and you're not getting her no help and you're not allowing her to go on vacation with somebody to cover for her. That is a form of abuse. She should have discovered that, realized that a long time ago. But then again, her being the person she is, I could understand why she didn't. She just let it go because she was there to do her job and do her job well. She enjoyed what she did. It was just the people around her. And I think April realized you cannot run from people. So when you leave one job, you go into another job where there's people that's going to have similar characteristic personalities and so forth and so on. So she just tried to tough it out. But I think April was at her breaking point. She had to be, because she realized that it was her time. It was her time to go. April realized her time at this company was up. It was time to move on. April was offered one more promise after submitting her 2-week resignation. Okay, what promise is this? Can't wait to hear this one. Her manager promised to promote her to supervisor in 6 months should the position become available. You got to be kidding me. Soon as she hands in a 2-week resignation, you're going to give her another false promise. You're going to promise to promote her to supervisor in 6 months only if the position become available? They must be thinking April is a fool. April thought to herself as she declined the offer, well, at least this time, my manager is letting me know the supervisor position is not a real possibility. I guess April say all the other times she was so persuasive with her lies, convincing April that she was going to get her some help. April took her at her word. And I guess after her word was not good anymore, she had to go and promote somebody to have the same title as April in order to put some actions to her word to make it seem like she had April back and that she was bringing some help to her. But once again, she lied. She was abusing her. That's abuse. And April recognized it, and I'm glad she did. And I'm glad she left. So, April supervisor, what a nightmare. Anyway, click the thumbs up and the subscribe button to receive notifications of more articles from the Book of Life. You guys stay blessed, be safe, peace.